Is Wednesday, September 10th, and we have a trade recap to go over today. Yesterday, I did not really place any trades. I just traded on my challenge, and I hit two really nice trades, but I did not trade on the funded account, so I was like, it's not really worth it to even really recap price. And we were kind of choppy, but it was just relatively straightforward to where, I didn't really need to recap. But today is a little bit different of a day. We did take a small loss. However, I'm okay with that, and I'm about to get into the whole reasoning to why, we took an L today. So, starting from the top, 15-minute time frame, I saw these relative equal lows, and then I saw how we have our 8:30 a.m. that took us pretty high up there. And that was our, I think, PPI, yeah. And I was looking basically to see what price wants to do based off of that. On the larger time frames, we were bullish. We broke structure downside. This is our breaker block. We got above it, and then now we used it as support. So I was looking for 9:30 to essentially come in here, and then decide to go higher. And I was bullish on the day. Yes, I was. So then just going off rip, this is 9:30 open rip. We have a 2 fair value up on the 2-minute. And I'm looking for some sort of like sell side to get taken. I'm interested in these lows, but we apparently did not want them, and then that was kind of like my iffiness of the day. Leaving those relative equal lows is not viable. So what is New York gonna do? Leaving these lows in place, what could we possibly be doing? So then I noticed that we have on ES, we're a little stronger. We have a bullish SMT, and we did not take out these lows. And I'm still like not really bearish or bullish. I'm not really bullish, not really bearish. Like I know Nas wants these lows, I just don't know when. It looks like it wants them pretty much now. But I was like, this looks like, bullish. Like I'm just gonna maintain my bullish bias. ES has these nice relative equal highs up here that I wanted to see get taken. And that's where I kind of get into it. I wasn't really expecting it like that to play out. So once we get our down move right here, and then we put in our SMT with ES, I'm not really paying attention. I'm still looking for, potentially, we come up into this double 5-minute fair value gap, and we start to go lower, like right up here, and then start to melt off lower as a result of it. And it looks like we actually did. But like I said, it was just like 50-50. My bias was like, kind of moving from side to side. I didn't really know what I wanted to be, long or short. And then, so basically going off of, like this day I've seen it before. Usually we end off bearish, respect this wick and we start to go lower. But we were so close to this damn all-time high. And at the same time, I'm bearish, on this daily time frame. I want to see us go lower, larger time frame. So I'm like basically conflicting all these biases, conflicting everything. And then that was basically the reason for my late entry, I would say. Because it was a late entry. It wasn't a bad trade. It was just a very late entry, and all the liquidity was basically taken by the time I entered. So, let me go to it. So we get this 1 minute. I forgot what I wanted to do with this 1 minute. I was looking at this though. Let me just go over top step X. Yeah, so I like how we put in this SMT. Price is clearly looking a little more bullish to take the highs. However, this is my mistake. This high right here at 9:36, we take it at around 10:07. ES takes its buy side around 10:07. So right now I'm like, all right, I'm looking good. And then once I get a 15-second setup after we rebalance this, I believe it was 2-minute or 3-minute. No, what was it? Was it a 5-minute? Yeah, it was 5-minute. 5-minute order block and my propulsion block. I was like, okay, I like to see longs here potentially get up in the highs. However, I was blinded to the fact that ES already done its job. I wanted, remember I was bullish, so I wanted to see ES keep running. But obviously we were not. We wanted to manipulate, so we came up here, manipulated, and then started to head lower. But that's when I kind of got chopped. So I literally just placed a trade on the 15-second. It was my setup. I just did not have the right narrative and time along with my side. So yeah, waited for this retracement. Came down. There's our order block. return. We didn't get an actual return into our order block, but just because of this 5-minute propulsion block, I was like, I'm looking for some expansion out of here. We got it, entered, and then entered more, and then just got stopped right underneath this candle low. So it was like a really quick trade, like less than 30 seconds. And I managed my risk perfectly. So risking 150 per trade for 2 trades. So only 1 trade today, and I lost 150. So perfect risk management. But yeah, honestly, hindsight, today was a relatively easy day. And then look, also, if I go to here, right here's our ES. Oh no. If I go to MES, I was just kind of blindsided to the fact that, we wanted to really get up there. Right here is our double, if you want. Here's a double. Here's a order block right here. Here's our propulsion, so we get above this. This is a fair value gap. Respect this one. Go higher. Let me go on the 30 seconds, see if there's anything in there. Yeah, 30 seconds, there was really nothing. So it was just kind of a messy day. I'm okay with losing today. My bias was kind of weird. It did kind of fake me wanting to, with this SMT, to wanting to go to the highs, and take out our all-time highs on NASDAQ. But like I said, keeping that larger time frame in mind, or my larger time frame bias in mind, I wouldn't really want to see longs play out today. So it was just it was a bunch of contradicting factors. And that's what kind of led to me taking not necessarily a dumb trade, just a trade that I shouldn't have took, just because of all liquidity being taken. Because once ES takes buy side up here, the reason for going higher is pretty slim. Like we're all-time highs, and it's gonna be pretty tough for price to get up in there without tapping in any order blocks on this larger time frame. So yeah, this SMT long would have been a good idea. But that's pretty much the only setup that presented itself in there. Really choppy day. But like I said, not disappointed, just kind of content with the fact that, price was a little harder to read today. Not every day is going to be bread and butter, simple as fuck. It's just a matter of fact of getting in there and then, identifying your mistake, and then seeing, cause a big thing with this model is your entries are going to be during the points where you think price is going the opposite direction. If I look over here, usually the model usually plays out I don't know when this was, but usually the model will play out. I don't know why I'm kind of looking on that. Let me see over here. Let me just kind of explain it here. The model plays out, but it plays out only at the right times. For example, down here, I'm not going to enter my model up here. This does not make any sense because of the fact that liquidity was taken. So when liquidity gets taken, okay, reset, because I'm kind of mumble jumbling. Let's just use that as an example. We get our SMT. This is where the entry is going to be. The entry is not going to be up here because we're looking for the explosive move to liquidity. So this was our explosive move, and the setup was in here. It was not, and then also the double fair value I've got ran through, so that could tell you basically inversing. But yeah, your setup's not really gonna form at liquidity. It's gonna form way below, and it's gonna be the propulsion basically move, the move that excels you to that buy side. So then this would be kind of the analysis for today. Take that long to ES up to there, and then it would make sense to throw in an SMT. And then NASDAQ was weaker, so we took out almost those lows, and we're about to take them out right now. So yeah, hindsight, pretty easy day. I should have been bearish biased all the way to the brim today, but the setup was long and it looked nice. So that's why it was kind of complicated. But yeah, I'm not mad about today. I liked it. Every loss I take is gonna be a learning experience, learning moment. Losses at this point in my journey, they happen for a reason, not due to emotion and not due to this or that, just because simply I didn't identify one thing or two things. I could have prevented this loss by simply saying ES took my buy side target. Why am I going to be trading long on NAS when there's no more targets? Instead, I could have shifted my bias to bearish, but since I took that one trade and then market was chopping, I was like, there's nothing else left here for me to do. So yeah, I just like how that worked out. For the month, we're only up about $200. Pretty much break even so far, but it's looking good. You know, I'm not mad about a break even and a loss and then a win. I'm basically 1-1-1 for the week, but I'm still in the positives. So yeah, you know, I'm just trying to run this shit up and let's see, you know, what really goes on. And then I also want to go over one or two things from this damn book. I want to kind of just give me a little mental reminder real quick. I wasn't really planning on going over this thing, but I kind of want to see what's going on. All right, yeah. So this is like a really big trading philosophy that kind of is, you know, it's reverberated throughout basically all of, you know, philosophy and a bunch of different, you know, aspects of being disciplined and focusing on a hustle, a journey in order to, you know, truly, you know, get to your maximum self. You kind of need to understand a few things, and this is one of them. So I kind of want to read, like, I've been reading this book, Curse just like, I want to go through at least one of these every day on the video and kind of explain my logic behind it. So no matter what has occurred in your life up to this point, it should have no bearing at all on how you live from now on. That you living in the here and now are the one that determines your own life. And then the youth says, my life is determined at this exact point. And then the philosopher says, yes, because the past does not exist. So whatever happened today does not exist no longer because, you know, it's not the present. It's not now. So that moment that I just said just passed. So what is the moral of that story? The moral of the story is that, you know, even though, you know, you can be losing, eventually you're going to be able to find that missing piece, and then you're going to let the hardest part is letting go of that emotion, that past that, you know, you're still tied to. But then when you realize and swallow that big pill that, you know, the past is the past and there's really nothing you can do about it, that's what makes, you know, your trading journey way better. Today, yes, I took a loss, a good loss, and then what? Tomorrow's a whole new day. I have a clean slate to do whatever I want to do. You know, however I want to trade, however I want to, do I want to be disciplined? Do I want to be this? You have a whole nother day to prove to yourself that you're going to be able to do this again and again and again. And then also I want to go over one thing with Charmaine, because that was he had a very good point yesterday. I don't know why. Oh yeah. Charmaine was like, one thing I love about this industry is that there's always another trading day. Meaning you can't get too high when you have a green day, and you can't beat yourself up after having a bad day. The next trading day is approaching, and it's approaching fast, and it will require you to be present and focused. There's no time to reside on what happened yesterday. He goes on to say a lot more stuff, but the moral of the story is, you know, every single day in trading is a new day. You have opportunity to think differently, be different, or just maintain your own consistency, like what I would like to express right now. You know, maintain my consistency, and then, you know, build these good habits, and eventually, you know, lead up to, you know, taking a payout from these accounts, and, you know, really reaping the benefit of you know, the hard work. But that takes time, you know, and then knowing that, you know, tomorrow is always another day. So yeah, you know, I liked how we lost. Like, see, on Wednesdays we're not really looking good. On Wednesdays we take some losses on Wednesdays. Every 1, 2, 3, 1 there, and I guess lost there. We lose a lot on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are a tougher day, but like I said, you know, always another day tomorrow. We're always gonna have that Thursday, Friday. Then we're gonna have that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you have the rest of your life and so on. So yeah, that was it. I'll see y'all in our next video, and then until then, y'all stay safe. Peace out.